Hello, welcome to my absolute disastrous mess of a desk and art and stuff. How's it going? Hi, Quindy. Check this out. These are fantasy novel books that I have co-authored. I do all the illustrations, make the covers. The covers are made from sculptures that I have, I sculpted them in ZBrush, I printed them out, I mold, I cast them, I paint the cast, I photograph that, I put it in Photoshop, I make a book cover out of it. It's the absolute worst way to make a book cover you can imagine. These books are filled with illustrations that I've made. There's between 70 and 80 illustrations / maps. Just like, the book's full of them. They're really fun, romping adventures in a fantasy world that I've been developing for, over 2 decades. If you're into fantasy adventure, please check them out. But today we are having nothing to do with that. Today we are making something really cool that I'm super excited about. My day job, I work at this company called Mythical. We make a video game, multiple video games, but right now our video game is Blanco's Block Party. And this is a screenshot of the level editor, which is the system that I'm in charge of at Mythical. So this is a game where you make your own levels, and then you play them with your friends, and the characters are these very delightful sort of vinyl toy inspired characters. This one's slightly inspired by yours truly. He is called the Foreman. He's in charge of build mode, like someone else you may know. So I took the game model and printed it out at several different sizes. This is the largest of them. Here's a medium-sized one. And so what I've been doing over the past month has been taking these sanding, priming, over and over and over again. They're almost done. So this one right now, you can see it's got all this like blobby surface on it, and like tape and stuff like that. That's because I'm masking the areas off as I paint them. Running into various issues where some of my paint doesn't like other paint. Seems to be have a lot to do with how long you let it how long you let the paint dry. Probably a big factor. So anyway, I've got some issues where I'm running into, in some places, let's see, can you see? Yeah, you can kind of see how down here at the bottom of his head, this area is all kind of crinkly and gross. It's not nice and smooth and vinyl looking like up here. Which, although, to be honest, I'm seeing a little bit of rippling happening around the hairline. So I may do a little more sanding and repaint that part as well, since I'm going to be doing that. So I'm going to start with that, but then I'm going to be moving on to this big chunk of deliciousness. That's going to be the backdrop. He's going to stand in front of this mountain, is my plan for him. Isn't this a beautiful shade? It's like a turquoise. Oh, I think it's just turquoise. So one of the tricky things with spray paint, which is what I ended up using, I couldn't get any of the other paints that I had to stick to the surface of my primer for some reason. So I'm using Army Painter primer, which many of you are probably familiar with if you do mini painting. And I've never had this problem before, but I've never tried airbrushing on my minis before either. So there's probably some arcane formulation that I'm unaware of. I ended up just moving to spray paint because I ended up finding the colors that I felt were pretty darn close to the colors of my reference, the in-game character. So it's like, you know what, might as well just spray paint. And it solved some problems and then ended up creating new ones. You know how that goes. Ocean-y type colors, yes. one of the things that I'm doing is as I'm adding the this as a mask, this Peel Tech stuff, it's essentially this rubber that you paint onto it, right? Between those, after I put down my rubber layer, I've been spraying a clear coat over it, which I did on the face. I forgot to do on this bottom section, and this is where I'm seeing the vast majority of the rippling and cracking. So that's interesting. It makes me think it must have something to do with the combination of the paint layer that's below it and on top of it. One of the wonky things is that while this is the perfect color for this character, this particular spray paint that is this perfect color is also a lacquer, as opposed to whatever else like other Rust-Oleum colors and stuff are. I don't believe they're lacquers. They don't say they're lacquer. When I look at the ingredients, I see a bunch of chemicals, but I don't see like something simple like this is enamel versus this is lacquer versus this is something else. I don't know how to decipher the runes on the back of my paint can, sadly. So I've been doing a lot of trial and error. This is a lot more alchemy than it is chemistry. From my perspective, in real life it's chemistry, but for me it's alchemy. I very rarely do characters like this. I more often do very organic, naturalistic kind of things. And they don't require this like super pristine, factory stamped, smooth finish, you know. So, learning as I go. Most of this bottom area is going to be pretty imperceivable because, you know, you can see from this character, like his shoulders go up and block off most of this area here. But, you know, I still want it all to be pristine. Record a little bit of this for my video. So you can see the little bit of wrinkly still going on his forehead there. Very close to having a pristine surface. Not quite perfect. You know, if this was a creature or a piece of terrain or something, those kind of imperfections would actually be kind of welcome usually. It's like, oh yeah, this is the sort of thing that happens in real life. But vinyl toys, no, they are like, they live in this ideal platonic world of perfect forms and glass smooth surfaces. Hopefully that will do the trick, and the fact that I've exposed some of the paint underneath, when I spray over it again, hopefully it doesn't like freak out and have the same problem. That would be annoying. Let's see how these other ones turned out. It's got a pretty darn nice finish, as far as I can tell, over the entire face. Hi, Andies. Yep, Foreman is being rude. So there's a little bit of that annoyingness down here as well. And since I'm gonna be, you know, doing another spray session anyway, I might as well clean this up too. This sanding sponge that I'm using is fairly soft, so it's like, I feel like it's not actually very threatening to the clean line that I painted with the masking fluid. I say that now, we'll see once I pull it all off what the lines end up looking like. This one seems pretty pristine. Happy with that. There's a little bit of like convolutions between the fingers there, but it's so minor. I think it's doing all right. Yeah, it's good. Okay, cool. That stuff's out of the way. Let's look at our mountain. So for a little bit of context here, we've got this platform. The largest Blanco is going to stand on here. And then this guy sits like so. This guy's going to go like so. Man, my desk is just awful right now. And then have it glowing all cool like. Now, one of the problems, which you can't pick up on the camera, but take my word for it, you can see into here and you can see the individual LEDs. So we want to add something behind here so that it will be nice and diffused, a diffuser, if you will. And for that, I believe this is what I recently got in the mail. What is the best way to open this? This one. Yeah, like a wax paper could work for that, for sure. My concern with wax paper is that it can like wrinkle up in certain circumstances. I don't know exactly what those circumstances are, so I'm not certain that I could keep it from doing that. But this does not look like what I was hoping to order. maybe it just has a piece of paper behind it. Let's see. This is supposed to be like a frosted glass plastic sheet, more or less. However, I'm not seeing a way to separate a layer off of here. Looks like it's straight up a sheet of white paper. Huh. That's disappointing. Not what I asked for or ordered. May end up doing wax paper. We'll see. What does this say here? White railroad board. Yep, that is not what I ordered at all. Okay. I'm sure I'll find a purpose for this. Just out of curiosity, like, I got it. Might as well see what happens if I put a strip of it down here. I don't think I have vellum laying around, not since I was in art school. I wonder what one uses white railway board for. I don't need to look this up. What is it that I accidentally purchased? One of a few downsides to ordering stuff on Amazon. So the light definitely still gets through. I mean, I don't hate it. And maybe it's good that it's kind of subtle like that. It definitely does the job of diffusing the light really well. I'll give it that. I think what I'll do is I'll tack it in place, and if I change my mind later, I'll just tear it off and do something else. Great palette and art, thank you so much for the raid. Welcome to the Reaper stream, starring me. It's me, Josh Foreman, the Crafty Creative. Sometimes I'm crafty and sometimes I create. Sometimes I do it here on Reaper. My day is going crazy. It's been a crazy day, in fact. I had a work meeting where, at my day job, I'm the level designer on Blanco's Block Party, and we recently started expanding the department, so now I'm leading several level designers, and we had our first big kickoff meeting of our level design team. Woo! And so naturally, Zoom is like, nope, your audio is not gonna work no matter what you do. And then, well, what if we switch to Google Meet? And then it's like, nope, not gonna work there either. I was like, what's wrong with my computer? I opened Streamlabs. It's like, yeah, your microphone and your camera work great. What are those other programs complaining about? Let's see, I think the heat in here is probably not bananas. A little worried it's bananas. Anyway, so it started off like a real cluster fudge of a morning. A lot of stress. I wouldn't go so far as to say embarrassment, but certainly annoyance. Very annoying when you're trying to kick something off on the right foot and then it's just a lot of annoying technical problems. And then it's just been like nonstop, one thing after another, and then I get this little sort of like, it's kind of a break to come here and stream for a little bit in the middle of the day. I like it. But it is also not exactly a stress-free thing. Like, you know, there's technical stuff you need to deal with. You're, you know, I don't have stage fright at all, so it's not like, oh my god, there's people, I'm all nervous. It's not like that, but it is, there's still some pressure to do something interesting. You know what I mean? So it's not like it's not like streaming is a stress-free activity, but it is fun. And it's a good change of pace. I like it. I had these little rocklets down here that broke off, but they were doing a good job of like hugging the little platform down here, which I really liked. And then while I was sanding and doing, okay, so I'll be able to glue this back up. So I'm trying this thing, this material that has been sitting in my workshop for probably 15 years. Like literally, I'm not exaggerating. This stuff is called epoxy paste, and it's got for me, very limited applications. I do not know why I felt the need to get however many gallons of this there is, but I'm always looking for an opportunity to use it up. So I thought, hey, here's a big, like, newish thing. I usually do stuff like that, like, I'm always trying to make things really realistic, but here I'm doing something that's really stylized. And so I thought, well, since I'm doing something that's in a different genre, if you will, now's the time to experiment with some different materials and see if, you know, see what random benefits or detriments they create. And so this is coated in epoxy paste, and it's mostly set up. They say 24 hours for full cure, and I was working on this on my stream, on the Josh Foreman stream last night, and that was probably 9 p.m. and for me it is now almost 12:30, so yeah, it definitely has not been 24 hours yet, but it feels hard enough to give it a little bit of a sand, because that's really the test. Like, can I sand this down to look like it's a plastic toy is the idea. We're about to find out. Knowing that it is kind of at a disadvantage, hasn't had its full 24 hours. Thanks, Greg Paladin. Yeah, I wouldn't say my day has been bad. It's just been all over the place. It's not necessarily bad, it's a different kind of energy, you know? So let's see, how does it work? This is a little more aggressive. Welcome back, Grey Paladin. Yeah, I'm getting a little bit of, rather than dust, it's turning into these little rolly bits. And I think that's probably an artifact of it simply not having had the time to fully cure. But it does sand okay. Like, I'm not like, oh my god, this is definitely not gonna work. The other material that I could use for this is Bondo. But since I have these buckets of this stuff, I would love to be able to use it on this project. I want to get a return on that investment I made 15 years ago. It's kind of like owning real estate, but really nothing at all like it. Okay, so I'm gonna try that and that. Let's try this. Could also try a power sander, but given how like many different subtle angles there are, I'm reticent to do so. Well, I feel like this is promising enough that I'm going to do another test. I'm going to go ahead and finish coating out the back with this stuff, and because at worst case scenario it turns out not working out at all and I do something different for the front, but it's, I don't know, it's still worth the test to me. However, for the front, there's still a little bit of like proportional design work I want to analyze. I'm not 100% satisfied with the general aesthetic going on here, or the anesthetic. That hasn't really kicked in either. One of the things, actually, you know what? Let me do this thing real quick. It occurs to me I'm definitely going to want to take this off when I paint this anyway, so I'm glad I didn't like nail it down hardcore. Let's just get that kind of in place. I think the one thing I'm still a little dissatisfied with is I feel like we've got this step, 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 and they're all like pretty evenly spaced. It feels... But again, when I say this out loud, I think to myself, is that really a problem? Because I was going to say, it's a little unnatural. That's not what rocks tend to do. But we are trying to make this look like a toy playset. And that means stylized. And where stylization ends and naturalism begins, that's a very gray area, right? So I just kind of keep going back and forth on this. And I'm also completely overthinking it because, I mean, there's going to be like a character blocking the vast majority of this. I need to... There's my answer. I just came up with my answer. It doesn't matter. It's fine. It's totally fine where it's at. Cool. Cool. I'm satisfied. So, there are a couple things I could do with another batch of epoxy sculpt here. One of them is finish off the back. I'm still not 100% confident to like do the front. I would love to do the front right now, but I'm only at like 80% confidence in this stuff right now. That's frustrating. So what can I do? I can fill in some gaps back here that are going to, like, obviously going to be an issue. I wonder. Oh yeah, and I also need to do this bottom section somehow. I wonder if I should just like stuff this up in there or something like that. The problem is that the cord coming out of here is kind of annoyingly small. But that's what extension cords are for, you guys. Thanks, Tinish Voodoo. Yeah, it's stylized. I got that part. It's just a matter of like, well, is it stylized in the same way that these props that I made for Blankos are stylized? And then further, is it stylized in a way that looks, that just like takes you out of the moment when you look at it? Because it just looks wrong or odd, you know what I mean? That's more like specifically what I'm trying to avoid. I really like the idea of not having this big honky thing floating around, so I'm gonna go ahead and I have this like perfectly shaped little alcove for it. Why not? Why not just thinking of the Bilbo meme? Why not? Why not just stuff all the electronics in this little hole? Things I love about this medium of XPS foam is just how delightfully easy it is to go in and edit previous work, as it were. Okay, we're gonna need it going even further since this sticks out so far. This is the way. Oh, it almost fits that way. Not quite. So we might be coming to the answer of why we don't just jam it up there. Although this part looks like it's pretty much completely covered by other things now, so I can probably just rip it out. Let's find out. Oh, you know what is actually keeping me from really committing to this stuff is that it's still a little bit tacky, and that is actually my biggest fear. Like, if after several days it's still tacky, that means, oh god, I have to strip everything off and start over again. Oof, that, and because it's so old, it's extra sus. I've got to be really careful about this. That is making me rethink my next step. Because, like, if something hardens wrong, you can always carve it, sand it, whatever, but if it's just not going to set up ever, that means, like, pretty much tearing the entire back off and putting a new one on. Okay, let's see if this is going to work first now. Yeah, look at that. Nice. Put this out through here. Or we can just poke it straight out. Yeah, it's probably better to put it straight out there. And hopefully I'm not gonna like overheat this little element by having it shoved up in there. We'll see. This insulation is fire resistant, so it probably will be okay. Okay. Now, the beauty of this is that I can now plug this in and out, and I can move the mountain around freely without having it attached to a plug, so hooray! Which means I want like some kind of a compartment here for doing so. Or maybe even better, I could have that permanently embedded in there and just have like a little something to wind the cord up and attach it back there while I'm moving it around. But that I can do after I do the like skinning on it. Is it weird that you could use the word skinning to mean taking skin off and putting skin on? Is there a different word for putting skin on a thing? Okay, so let's get a base on this. And the question is, do I want to do an entire sheet that goes, yeah, I do. I want, what should that sheet be made of, you ask? The answer is something strong. The problem being that making something strong usually requires cutting with power tools, which I really hate doing, but let's see if I have something that I can maybe hand saw. Like cardboard could kind of work for this. Kind of. Thin plastic would be nice. Work. It's pretty good material. That's definitely strong enough. It's thin enough. But will it actually fit? Can I Tetris this on in some way close? Oh man, it's like half an inch too short in every direction. I mean, I could use one piece of foam and maybe replace this. If I could, would I have to cut up? Yeah, I'd have to cut the bottom off that whole thing. If only I had better planning from the beginning. I say to myself constantly on every project I ever work on. And I'm like, next project I'll definitely plan it better. But do I? Do I? So this is not nearly as strong as I would like. but it would keep everything together. And okay, here's a thought. It's not really about like providing a super stable foundation. It's stable. I just want something so that it's very flat. And I think this would do that trick. Now once my studio is all set up, I will have this amazing ability to go to the work table, the cutting table, and do it there. Oh man, what a beautiful day that's going to be. In the meantime, you get to just constantly move stuff around and have things fall and get lost, etc. Okay. Put this off to the side. And this go here. More or less. Yeah. Okay. Shape. Do we have a mechanism for cutting this? I'm not sure. I feel like I've tried cutting this stuff with scissors before, and that doesn't work great. Oh wait, is this on a plastic? There's some kind of sheet of protective plastic on here. Oh, yep, sure enough. Okay. Well, so I have some cool... I have a variety of cool cutting things, a few of which are available to me right now. Yeah, so this causes these little, like, crazy spiderweb cracks to use scissors. So, I don't think that's, like, devastating to it, but I'm not really happy about it. I'm going to try my little sonic cutting knife and see how that works. Gotta go fast. Time for little beep boops. Beep boop time. Actually, you know what would be really useful before I use this? Let's just get the rod shape of that. That's going to make things a lot easier. All right, Quindy. Like all of us non-serial killers, we tend to not talk about skinning very often. You and I both of us non-serial killers. Speaking of skin, man, now I can't tell which side the plastic is on. It's on this side. Okay, so I want to cut on this other side. I do feel like if I cut through this, I might also be cutting into my little self-healing mat, which I'm not really excited about doing, so let's put this down. Okay. Oh, well, definitely cutting through since I'm getting into the board there. Wow. Look at that. That is really nice. Good job, Sonic the Pinhog. I'm taking suggestions for better names for this Sonic cutter. Please let me know if you have anything better than Sonic the Pinhog. Sonic the Knife Hog? Sonic the Blade Hog? These are all terrible. The Seattle Sonic Knives. Katso Nick Knife. Wait, Katso? Cats? Because cats scratch you? Is that? I'm not getting the connection here. I mean, if there's no pun involved, what even is the point of a name? That's why my parents named me Foreman, is because they knew I'd work on Blanco Block Party and be in charge of build mode, where I should be called the Foreman. I gotta say, highlight of my day so far, that this is actually ending up so easy. Like, I'm trying a new tool on a material that I hardly ever use, and it's like, just working really well. You know how rare that is? Beat Booper, that's a pretty good name, to be honest. I'm gonna be honest, for once in my life, this is the one time, and it's wasted on this. Cutso. Do I like you guys? You, us as a whole, as a faction, as a cohort? The German people? Females in general? People with the name Indivies? Hey, who's us? Who is us? You and I? A little bit of like a melty edge around here. It doesn't feel like it's a slicey edge, but it's like a catchy edge. Oh, I see. You're trying to see if I would lie again. Go back to my normal lying routine. Yes, I will constantly be lying from now on. Because I used my one moment of lucid truth to tell you what kind of a name I would like for my knife. unjaggy now. Now the question is, let's try to stick this on now. This is what I should do. I should get this part adhered, and then this part's free to move around for all the skinning work I'm going to do on it. And then once that's done, plunk that in place and then clean up any seams along the bottom. That's a plan. That's a plan we can all get behind, I think. However, there's also no rush to get this attached. So doing this was a little bit of forward saving time saved in the future. Okay, and here's what I'm thinking. As I was doing that sanding, I had this thought. Since I'm not absolutely certain that my caramel coating is going to do what I need, as in it'll set up and stop being sticky someday, I'd rather not do more of it, just in case I come back tonight or tomorrow, you know, it's 24-hour cure time and it's still tacky, I'm gonna be like, no. However, one thing I do know that I'm going to need to do is fill in all of these like lines and cracks that aren't intended to be part of the final like look of the surface, right? So to do that, I can use my trusty standby Bondo. Yeah, my Blanco head was looking like a candy apple a couple days ago. It's pretty cool. Lots of forbidden foods in the shop lately. Trying to think of the best way to mix this stuff. I'm gonna try this. I've never tried this before. I'm gonna do a cup, mix it on one side, and then maybe I can get like 2 to 3 mixes per cup out of it. The thing that's really annoying about Bondo is like the surface that you mix it on, it's done after that. Unless I wonder if I could mix it on one of my silicone pads. Then it could probably crack off. The problem is like sometimes around the edges you don't get like a really clean mix, and so that's the problem with all of those reusable mixing doodles. Ooh, that smell. I woke up with, like, I could tell I was probably gonna get a headache today, and then after all those like technical shenanigans went on with my meeting and all that like stress, it really blew up, and so I took some Excedrin migraine. Great medicine, highly recommend, but man, I'm still feeling it. And then the smell is like, oh yeah, remember that migraine that you're medicating for? Okay, so I'm gonna do a fairly hot mix to fill in some of these bigger gaps. The more of this hardener you mix in, the faster it sets, and the sooner you can move on to something else, sooner you can sand it, etc. So I usually just kind of eyeball it based on my experience, and then realize I'm not as experienced as I thought I was, and it ends up not where I was hoping it would be. I want to lay it down on the table because it's got this fringe of gunk on this side. Then it's going to make a fringe of gunk on the table, which I'm going to end up picking up with my sleeve or my knuckle or something else, and then I'm going to end up rubbing it into my eyeball or getting it on a piece of clothing that I care about. You know how it goes. So instead I'm going to precariously hold it at a really weird, awkward, painful angle. You like how I trailed off there? Like I was going to say something else and then didn't? It's kind of my signature move, and last time I was using Bondo, I said to myself, I know there's something that I can put on my tools to like smooth it, and I need to look up what that is, and then I never did that. I want to say it's just like isopropyl alcohol. But this actually was about the hotness of the mix that I was going for, as in like, it's this particular shade, it's setting, like it's already starting to get a little bit gummy. It should be pretty much ready to trim soon. It won't be able to sand for another like 10 or 15 minutes probably, but I'll be able to cut off like lumps and things that are obviously wrong. Also, oh, look at this. This dissolves the foam a little bit. Okay, good to know. I feel like I should have known this already, but for some reason I didn't. So, if that's the case, I mean, I think it's hardening fast enough that it's not gonna like eat through like Alien's acid or anything. But It does mean that what I should probably do is do a coat of Mod Podge first. Where do I have it? What is this? Look at this. I have a massive thing of Mod Podge. So I don't need to use my painted Mod Podge for this, since I'm going to be doing other stuff over it and then, you know, get more stuff. So great. Let's do a Mod Podge coat. Oh man, forbidden caramel coating on popcorn, that would be devastating. You got the terrifying final tweaks of your level complete, and now your brain can just relax. That's always nice. Get close up on this. This will be important for my video to point out. These little areas where it's getting kind of bubbly and weird, that is because it is starting to eat through foam a little bit. Junky brushes. That should work. Those mythical M's were pretty tight. I like them. White on black. Very, very on brand. I don't know if I noticed the last one. There's a black one somewhere. It's in that room where you grab the guns at the very end of the level? Is that what you're saying? Right in front of that. Okay. be on the lookout for it very soon. We're going to be doing another company playtest right after this stream, and we've got your latest iterations on the playlist. So.
Well, looks like we're at about time, so I'm going to go ahead and paint us out while we find someone cool to raid.
Thanks everyone for joining today. If you enjoyed any of this, please check out my other stuff. All the socials are there. I got a YouTube channel where I do a lot of tutorials on art and design and stuff. I write books, check them out on Amazon. Ebook and physical books called The Scarred King by me, Josh Foreman, and my co-author Rose Foreman. They're real fun. Please check them out. And I hope y'all have a great rest of your day.